Kalvin Phillips is undroppable. What on earth do I know? There I am on Twitter saying I don't want Mings to start. It should be anyone other than Mings. And then in my last video, I was actually saying how I don't see what Phillips offers us. And in that game yesterday, our two best players on the pitch were Mings and Phillips. So fantastic result for England. The Euros are finally started for us. You know, it was a brilliant game. We played absolutely fantastic football. Well-deserved 1-0 victory, and it could have been more. So here's my thoughts on yesterday's game and my player ratings. Just before we get started in today's video, I just want to send my thoughts to Christian Eriksen and his family. Obviously, anyone who was watching that game the other day, you will know it's by far one of the hardest things I've ever seen, ever, on live television. It was absolutely shocking. They should have cut away, but you know, it's great to see that he's awake and he's responded well. So yeah, all the best, Christian Eriksen. So England-Croatia then. So Southgate, first thing is Southgate absolutely surprised us all, didn't he, with that starting 11. No one in the UK or in the world had that same starting 11 as Gareth Southgate added. So we were all talking about who's going to play at right back, who's going to be the two players playing up front alongside Harry Kane. And what we ended up with is, instead of us all worrying about the right back, we should have been worried about the left back, because he picks a left back completely out of the blue, playing Kieran Trippier there at left back. And everyone beforehand was absolutely going mad, saying, I cannot believe we've got two of the best left backs in the league and we're not playing either of them and playing a right back there. And so everyone was like automatically straight on that. Then obviously there was Tyrone Mings being included. I know it wasn't just me who had plenty of worries and fears about Tyrone Mings coming into this game. Obviously he was on the team sheet as well, along with Stones and Walker making up the back four. Then we had Phillips, Rice and Mount. I think that was pretty much expected. But then you had Foden, Kane, and then he picked Sterling. You know, who would have thought? Quite obvious he may have picked Sterling, given the fact that he does like to stick with him. He's trusted him in the past. But I think, you know, if we'd have all been pushed, none of us would have said he was going to pick Sterling. Everyone had thought Grealish was a cert. Everyone was absolutely hounding for Grealish online, and rightly so. I was one of them. You know, he was by far been our best player over the past couple of games before this. And so, yeah, so you've got, you've got Trippier playing left back, you've got Sterling playing, you've got the fact that he's picked Mings. All of these things were just, you know, before the match, everyone, I think Southgate out was trending on Twitter, which is obviously absolutely disgraceful. Get behind the team. Southgate clearly knows these players better than us, and he's proven that now. I did tweet before the game actually to say, you know, forget what the team is, just get behind them. You know, who cares if you agree with it or not? This squad is that strong and there's that much depth. There's going to be no starting 11 that any of us agree on. Yes, this was really left field and did shock a lot of people, but just get behind him. And he's proven on Sunday that he knows what he's doing. So yeah, you know, just starting to take these performances apart really. You know, going back to, let's start with Pickford again. He's just, there's nothing wrong with his performance. He's absolutely fantastic in an England shirt. Again, his passing was unbelievable. He was picking out players. He's cracking with his feet, getting the ball out clear when he needs to, picking out shorter passes when he needs to. I'm struggling to see what more Pickford could do. I almost think he's the perfect keeper for England. I really do. I really like him. He had an absolutely cracking game. So I would rate Pickford as 7.5 out of 10. Going on to Kyle Walker, you know, he was a very interesting game because going forward and offensively, he was garbage, wasn't he? He was giving balls away, he was knocking it out of play. He just seemed out of sorts, but then defensively he was quite solid. So I think having said that though, because of the way he was on the ball, but he was the player I believe who did put the pass through for Phillips, and it was a cracking pass through for him to set up Sterling. So I would say 7 for Walker, 7 out of 10. And then coming on to Stones, so John Stones, I think he had a fantastic game, absolutely fantastic. Couldn't have expected any more from him. He was cool, calm, collected, really good with the ball at his feet as we expect. Nothing silly. Safe as houses when he needed to be. So, yeah, 7 out of 10 for me. Looking at Mings then. I mean, Mings. Where did this come from? Tyrone Mings. I mean, he's almost... I cannot believe I'm saying this, but I'm looking here. And where does... Can you drop Mings now if Maguire's fit? He was that good. He was that good on Sunday. And there was nothing wrong with Stones' performance. So, you know, for me, Mings was 8 out of 10. He was fantastic. No, probably, in fact, probably 8.5. 8. No, I'll go with 8. I'll go with 8 out of 10. There's not much else he could have done. Yes, Croatia didn't offer us an awful lot of attacking threat, should we say, but he was just brilliant. Anytime he needed to be, he was there, and he was fantastic. Solid as a rock. Fantastic play. Kieran Trippier, good game. You know, who would have thought? He's a left back. He's a right back playing in a left back position. No one called him keeping Shaw and Chilwell out of the starting 11. You'd have got good odds on that. But Trippier, he had a great game. Yeah, there was some times when you feel like it'd have been nice if he did have a left foot. But you can see now we were so solid at the back. And I cannot believe I'm saying that as an England fan. We were so solid at the back. And I think that was part of it. There's so much experience in there with Walker, Stones and Trippier. And even Pickford to some extent. So, you know, it was a really solid back four display. And he was very much part of that. So I would say he was 7.5 out of 10. Kalvin Phillips is undroppable. That is one of the best solo England performances I have seen in a long, long time. It was almost going back to the days with, like, you know, when David Beckham was playing and he used to grab the games by the scruff of the neck, or when Rooney first burst onto the scene and he was just everywhere. Phillips was everywhere. He was absolutely fantastic. He was winning tackles. He was setting up plays. He was bursting through, set up the goal. It was brilliant. There was nothing there that he could have done any better. For me, 9.5. I believe he was that good. I really do. It was fantastic. If he plays like that for the rest of the tournament, unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. What a player. What an absolute player. And I will say, I apologise to Phillips. I did say I never called him a bad player, let me make that straight, but I did say I don't really see what he offers. My God, I do now. You know, he's not a holding midfielder. He's not an attacker. He's everywhere. He did very little holding in that game, but at the same time, he was very much part of breaking up any Croatia plays, but then also setting up our attacks. It was absolutely fantastic. Well done, Phillips. Hats off, mate. First name on the team sheet this Friday. Moving on to Rice, bit quieter, but he was just there. He was doing what he needed to do. For me, 7.5 out of 10. I don't think there's a lot more else to say about that for Rice. Good game though, but Phillips was just on another plane. However, I feel that was because he knew he had Rice there. He was just cool, calm, collected, composed, never really in any danger. I think he did get missing a little bit, to be fair, in some periods when he compares performance against Phillips. But he did play a different role. But for me, good solid performance, 7.5 out of 10. Mason Mount, I thought he was fantastic. Again, you know, it was absolutely brilliant. And I think I'll come on to the next player as well, but there's already a couple of these new players that have come into the England squad, and you can see the difference they've made. And he's one of them. Phillips is the other, you know, Mount's one, and then I'll come on to the other guy in a minute. But fantastic performance. Mount, for me, 8 out of 10. Again, if he keeps playing like that, fantastic. You know, this England team is looking good. Foden, absolutely brilliant display. First half, he was brilliant. Obviously, in the second half, he did look a bit leggy, should we say, but he was a threat. He was a threat going forward. When he got the ball, he was picking out the right passes. Obviously, he hit the post. Very unlucky not to score within those first 5 minutes or so. For me, 8 out of 10. He is the other player, along with these Phillips, his Mounts. You know, they're making a difference to England. This is what we didn't have in the semi-final last year, 2018 against Croatia. And that's what we did have this time. And Croatia had no answers for it. And they also had no answers going forward with that solid back four. And we were just, to a man, we were better than them in every department. And Foden was one of them. He was fantastic. One player who didn't have a good game, though, and I believe this is the only England player who didn't have a good game, and that was Harry Kane. He just looked off it. He just looked 5 or 6 yards off the pace. He doesn't look fit. And he should have scored. You know, he missed a sitter. Let's be honest, he should have scored. He wasn't involved in the game. And for me, I'm going to rate him as low as 6 out of 10. But I don't know what's up with Kane. But maybe he needed a rest. He should have brought Calvert-Lewin on earlier. But disappointing performance for me from Kane. But that is the only one. And I'm sure he'll improve as the games go on. So that's moving on to the last player. And that's Sterling. He was UEFA's man of the match. Don't see how. I know he did have a good game, don't get me wrong, he had a fantastic game, but Phillips was by far, for me, the best England player there. But Sterling fully justified his inclusion, didn't he? He really did. He was brilliant from the first whistle in terms of his runs behind. His final ball, he is the most frustrating England player I like to watch. And I mean that, where he gets in behind, he gets in all the right places, but then does nothing with it. And even with the goal, he was still a bit hesitant. There was a bit where he did get through beforehand, and he should have just hit it with his left, but instead he was trying to turn back, even though he was like one-on-one with the keeper. He's just not decisive. He's not clinical enough. He had a great game, but that was because, and that's what Southgate knows he brings. He's going to have a good game because he's the one running in behind defenders, and he did that, and he caused Croatia no end of problems. But he's frustrating because he gets in all these good positions and does nothing with it. A really good performance, 8.5 out of 10 for me. He was England's second best player. I think him and Mings were England's second best player. But that rating, along with the fact of me saying that he can still do better, just shows how good Sterling can be. He could be one of the best players in the world if he sorts out his end product, whether that's his cross, finishing, whatever. If he gets to grips with that, he is going to be the best player in the world. I genuinely mean that, but you just don't see it with him. You see, he's sometimes a bit weak. He doesn't hold the ball up very well, or he loses it. He picks the wrong pass, or overhits it, or whatever. His final product. If he had a final product, my goodness me, he'd be fantastic. But it was a great performance from Sterling. Like I said, our second best player on the pitch on the day. Can't complain. He did get the goal. 8.5 out of 10. So to bring it all together then, I think England overall were fantastic. Brilliant performance. One of the best opening displays of a tournament I've seen from us in a while, against probably one of the strongest opposition we've had in a while at the opening of a tournament. And I think good, solid 8 out of 10 overall performance from the England team. There's room for improvement, particularly in the attacking areas. But I think we gave a really good show of ourselves. And he surprised a few of us with the squad. So yeah, I think 8 out of 10 is a really good, solid start from England. Right, so I started off with those player ratings first because I just wanted to talk about the game really in general. England were by far the better team. They really were by far the better team, and this is why. This is the England, and I think I said in the build-up game actually that if we play Croatia 10 times, we should win 6 or 7 out of 10. I really do. I think we're a far better team than them. I really do. But they've obviously got players that can threaten us, and we finally. I feel like it was as perfect a performance, and because there's room for improvement as well. I'm not saying we were like the finished article by any means, but we did what we needed to do. We were comfortable doing it. It felt like we never really broke out of second gear, and we were still by far the better team. You could argue that there's our better players still to come on, with Grealish, and Sancho didn't even make the bench. Sancho and Chilwell did not even make the bench. This is how good this England squad is, and we easily beat Croatia, and we still brought on players like Rashford and Dominic Calvert-Lewin. It's actually, without being a ridiculous optimistic England fan, it's actually, when you start to break all this down and see what we're doing, it's actually starting to become incredibly exciting. Now, I hope to God, come Friday, this doesn't all pop in a horrible disaster. Scotland have just lost, actually, 2-0. To Czech Republic, but it doesn't mean anything. Scotland played actually quite well. But England are just in such a strong position, and it just feels like Southgate is again breaking records. Whether it's our first penalty shootout that we've won, whether it's our first semi-final in nearly 30 years, whether it's winning our first opening group game at a World Cup in a hell of a long time, and then winning our first opening group in the Euros ever. It keeps breaking these little mini hurdles that are turning England into something better. The only hurdle left is for England to beat a major, major team. And I'm talking your Germans, your Frances, your Spains, your Italys. One of those four, maybe Portugal in that as well. One of those 4 or 5 teams, that is the only stumbling block. And he's going to get the chance. He is going to get the chance. I'm optimistic that England are going to now top this group quite comfortably. That will mean then we do place a second place of Group F. So he's going to get his chance. It's going to be France, Germany or Portugal we need to beat. So it's one of those 5 that I've mentioned there. This is it now. It really is. And like I said, if you go back and watch my previous video on England's path in this Euros, if we win that last 16 game against one of those major teams, we will win the Euros. I believe that last 16 game, if we top this group, I know I might sound I'm getting ahead of myself, but if we top this group now, get one of those major teams at Wembley, if we can get past them, we will win the Euros. That is my genuine I genuinely believe that, because then I don't see what else would stop us. I genuinely don't see what else could possibly get in our way, because I think we've just gone from strength to strength. And like I've said, the squad we've got is just unreal. I've said it before. We have the best squad in the tournament. We don't have the best starting 11, but we have the best squad, full squad in the tournament. I honestly believe that, and I know a lot of other fans do as well. But it was fantastic. It was fantastic from England. Modric was nowhere to be seen. They offered nothing going forward. And it was just exactly what the doctor ordered for England. It was brilliant. Southgate, what a legend. You cannot, and I know there's always fans that will be calling for him to go. And I've never been one of them. I've never been one to criticise him based on his team selections. You might be a little bit, but you always say, no, give him a chance. And every time I've given him that chance, he's answered, and he's done well. He absolutely nailed it on Sunday. He completely bamboozled the Croatians. Didn't have a clue how to handle that team. By far the more threatening, better team. And he shows how well he knows that squad. And I think Gary Neville touched on this the other night, actually. Because I heard someone say, he's just an inexperienced amateur manager, all this crap that you see on Twitter. But from an international manager point of view, he's probably one of the most experienced managers there. And he must be close to 10, 11, 12 tournaments. If you take it as a player, under-21s coach and the senior coach, I bet he's not far off 10 international tournaments. Now, I don't know many other players or managers in the Euros that would have that experience. And I know and there are differences between club and international. He clearly hasn't got the club experience, but from an international stage point of view, he's as experienced as you want to get. So let's not forget that. And please now, everyone, just get behind whatever starting 11 he picks against Scotland. Just get behind it, for goodness sake, and stop being so negative on social media. It winds me up. So that's it from today's video. I was buzzing, absolutely buzzing. I'm going to try and start putting different videos on now. So I'm going to do the preview for the Scotland game this Friday. But then I'm also going to start to do just some videos, instant reactions that I'm going to be filming on my phone. So they're going to be less like me sat in front of this camera giving my action. It's going to be a little bit more raw, a little bit more real, in the moment sort of things. And yeah, come on England, fantastic result. I was just so happy we got the win on Sunday. You cannot imagine how happy I was, particularly because it was against Croatia. But we've now beaten them 2 out of the last 3 times. In fact, we've only lost to them once in the past 4, and that was the last game. So. Like the 4th game, sorry, because we drew with them in Croatia in the Nations League, then beat them at Wembley, and then beat them at Wembley again now. So we've turned that tide. We've got the upper hand on Croatia, and it's onwards and upwards. So if you haven't done, please like and subscribe to this video. Please leave me a comment below, and yeah, look forward to seeing you all in the next video.